Hans von Spakovsky, the manager of the Election Law Reform Initiative and the senior legal fellow at the Mies Center for Legal and Judicial Studies at the Heritage Foundation. Hans, welcome to Breitbart News Tonight.
Rebecca, thanks for having me back.
All right, Hans. Chief Justice Roberts did it again in this decision today. I mean, okay, I love the fact that Chief Justice Roberts was able to find a loophole for President Obama with Obamacare, but no such deal for President Trump with DACA. And President Obama apparently can create DACA, but President Trump can't get out of DACA unless he does some special super thing. What's going on with this decision? What does he need to do? Explain it to us.
This was another atrociously bad and legally wrong decision by the Chief Justice joining with the liberal justices on the court. In essence, what he said was that the decision to end the DACA program, and everyone should remember the DACA program was put in place not by a congressional act. In fact, Congress has refused to put in this kind of an amnesty program, and because that's what it was for illegal aliens. It was put in by the Obama administration through a memo issued by the Department of Homeland Security. And so the Trump administration comes in, they end the program, and what does the Chief Justice say? Oh, they didn't give adequate reasons, policy reasons, for why they were ending the program. Therefore, the decision was arbitrary and capricious. So we're sending it back down to the lower court, and DHS will have another chance to explain and give the reasons why they ended the program. This is a totally idiotic decision, particularly the claim that they didn't give adequate reasons for it. Because, look, keep this in mind. Remember, after DACA, which was deferred action for childhood arrivals, remember 2 years later, Obama tried to put in a second program. This was the one, deferred action for parents of Americans. So this would have given amnesty to all the illegal aliens who were parents of folks who had been born here and therefore were citizens. Texas and all these other states sued over that, and the courts, the Fifth Circuit U.S. Court of Appeal, they upheld an injunction against it because they said President Obama did not have the legal power to put in this kind of an amnesty program. Only Congress can do that. And that was upheld by the U.S. Supreme Court in a 4-4 decision because they didn't have a ninth justice at the time. So when Trump and his folks came in, Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General, issued an opinion saying, look, the DACA program is almost exactly the same as the DAPA program, and the courts have said the DAPA program is unconstitutional. Therefore, the DACA program is illegal. It's unconstitutional, so we're going to end it. And yet, the Chief Justice says, oh, they couldn't just rely on the Attorney General's opinion. I mean, that's just a foolish decision by the Chief Justice.
It doesn't make any sense, really. You know, how can something be illegal on the face of it in the first place, but you can't rescind it? And has this ever happened before? Has there ever been a ruling that essentially said President B cannot undo an executive order of President A?
No, there hasn't been. And in fact, look, Justice Thomas and Justice Kavanaugh, joined by Gorsuch and Alito, they wrote these blistering dissents saying that, look, the administration didn't even need to give a reason, to give a policy reason for ending the DACA program because it was illegally set up in the first place. When you have a government program that's set up without any authority under the law, in fact, something that violates the law, you don't need to give policy reasons for then ending it. I think really what was going on here, it had nothing to do with the law. Justice Thomas in his dissent really captured what's going on here. He said that this has to be recognized for what it is, an effort to avoid a politically controversial but legally correct decision resulting from the timidity of the Chief Justice and the other 4 liberal justices. So, the legally correct decision saying the Trump administration can end this, that would have been politically controversial. And the Chief Justice just didn't want to do that because I think he really showed that he's a political coward.
I thought Supreme Court justices had lifetime appointments precisely to insulate them from these kind of political considerations.
Well, they're supposed to, but, there are a lot of justices, and it certainly has been true in the past, who are concerned about what the Washington cocktail circuit says about them, what the Washington Post and New York Times say about them, and what they perceive history may say about them. And unfortunately, I think that's part of what's been going on here.
But my first thought when this ruling came down is that I was confused because John Roberts in the past fixed Obamacare on the fly. He pulled out a magic wand and he did a magic spell and he changed Obamacare so that it would pass constitutional muster and upheld it for that reason. And that was 1,000 times more complicated than this executive order we're dealing with. Why didn't he just pull his magic wand out and fix this executive order and give us all the same gobbledygook we got last time about how the Supreme Court wants to respect the will of the executive and yada, yada, yada? Why not just fix this executive order and let it go through?
Because the end result would then be that the DACA program would be over. And he doesn't want the criticism of the Supreme Court, I guess, from doing that. Look, this is very similar to the stupid decision he issued last year when he very similarly said that, remember, the Trump administration tried to get a citizenship question added to the U.S. Census. And he issued an opinion saying, well, no, constitutionally and legally, they can do that, but they didn't give a sufficient policy reason for doing it. And because the court ruled so late, right before the forms had to be printed, it was too late for the Trump administration to once again come up with another explanation of why they wanted to add it. This is exactly the same thing he did last year, and it's just, I guess at this point it's not surprising, but it's really maddening that again he issues just a bad decision like this. And look, this has been a bad week at the court. I mean, it's not only this case; it's also the case on Monday, where in essence they rewrote the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and something else also that happened on Monday, it hadn't really been talked about, which is they had like a dozen Second Amendment cases before the court where the plaintiffs in those cases, the challengers, had asked the Supreme Court to take the cases so they could overturn these bad decisions by the courts of appeal, and the court refused to take a single one of them.
What other little surprises are coming our way? They're not done yet, are they? We could still have a few more shocks in our near future.
No, we've still got some important cases out there, and this has been one of the worst weeks of the Supreme Court in I can't remember when. It was just one bad decision after another, and the people responsible for the bad decisions this week were Chief Justice Roberts and Neil Gorsuch.